The Zephyrian War Council erupted in chittering laughter when the human delegation arrived. Ambassador Kexthul's compound eyes widened in disbelief as he watched the primitive species representative step off their crude transport vessel. This is their champion? War Prime Vashtok's mandibles clicked in amusement. The humans send us what appears to be a dirt-covered peasant with an ancient projectile weapon. The human delegation had been sparse, 3 individuals in simple clothing. But only one carried a weapon. A weathered man in his 50s wearing faded work clothes and mud-caked boots. His hands were calloused, his face creased by sun and wind. The rifle slung across his shoulder looked primitive even by early human standards. A bolt-action hunting rifle that belonged in a museum rather than a battlefield. Ambassador Kexthul studied the human through his bioscanner. Thomas Mackenzie, he read aloud. Occupation, agricultural specialist, combat experience none listed. He paused, his translator struggling with an unfamiliar term. Primary skill, pest control. The assembled Zephyrian commanders burst into fresh waves of laughter. Here was the mighty human warrior they'd heard whispers about, the species that had somehow carved out territory in 3 star systems despite their technological inferiority. War Prime Vashtok stood to his full 9-foot height, his chitinous armor gleaming under the station's lights. His bio-enhanced muscles rippled beneath his exoskeleton, and his 4 arms each carried a plasma rifle capable of melting through starship hulls. Behind him stood his honor guard, 12 elite warriors, each genetically perfected for combat, their bodies augmented with the finest military enhancements the Zephyrian Empire could provide. Human, Vashtok's voice boomed through the translation matrix. Your species has been marked for extermination. As is our custom, we offer single combat. Your strongest warrior against ours. If you win, your people may retreat to your home system and trouble us no more. If you lose... His mandibles clicked ominously. Well, the Zephyrian Empire claims 3 more star systems. The human translator, a nervous-looking woman, whispered urgently to the farmer. Thomas Mackenzie scratched, his graying beard, and nodded slowly when he spoke. His voice was quiet but steady. Reckon that sounds fair enough. Vashtok's bio-enhanced reflexes were legendary. His reaction time had been surgically reduced to 0.0003 seconds. His armor could deflect ship-grade lasers. His 4 arms could fire independently with targeting computers that never missed. The plasma rifles he carried could vaporize a human from half a kilometer away. The arena they chose was a standard combat environment, a 1,000-meter square platform with scattered cover. The War Prime took his position at one end, his weapons, systems powering up with a distinctive whine. His honor guard retreated to the observation deck, already composing victory songs. Thomas Mackenzie walked to the opposite end. He worked the bolt on his rifle once, checking the action. The scope mounted on top was clearly handmade, the kind of modification a man makes in his workshop because he can't afford better. He settled into a comfortable crouch behind a low barrier. Computer, Vashtok commanded, calculate optimal firing solution for immediate termination. Target acquired. Probability of successful elimination, 99.97%. The War Prime raised all 4 weapons, targeting lasers painting the human's position in deadly crimson. At this range, even if the primitive somehow dodged the first volley, there was nowhere to run. The combat timer reached 0. Vashtok squeezed all 4 triggers simultaneously. The air filled with superheated plasma as 4 shots converged on the human's position. The covering barrier vaporized instantly, filling the arena with smoke and debris, but Thomas Mackenzie was no longer there. Somewhere in the swirling smoke, a hunting rifle cracked once. The sound was sharp and somehow final, cutting through the arena's recycled atmosphere like a scythe through wheat. Vashtok looked down in confusion at the small hole that had appeared in his chest armor. Impossible armor that had never been penetrated. The hole was perfectly round, no bigger than his smallest finger. His bio-enhanced body tried to process what had happened, but his nervous system was already shutting down. The War Prime toppled backward, his massive frame hitting the arena floor with a resounding crash. In the observation deck, the Zephyrian commanders sat in stunned silence. On their bioscanners, they watched as a single human figure emerged from cover nearly 800 meters away, a distance at which their own targeting computers had registered no life signs. Ambassador Kexthul's translator chirped frantically. "How is this possible? Our sensors detected no movement, no biosignature at that range." Thomas Mackenzie worked the bolt again, ejecting a spent brass casing that gleamed as it fell. He shouldered his rifle and walked slowly toward the fallen War Prime. When he reached the body, he knelt and gently closed the alien's compound eyes. 40 years hunting white-tailed deer," he said quietly, though his words were picked up by the arena's audio systems. "Y'all ever tried to track a buck through Mississippi timber in November fog? They move like ghosts, see everything, hear everything. You learn patience. You learn to read the wind, read the terrain." He stood and looked directly at the observation deck. "You learn that sometimes the biggest, strongest, meanest thing in the woods still bleeds when you put a bullet in the right spot." The human delegation was escorted to their ship in respectful silence. As they prepared to depart, Ambassador Kexthul approached Thomas Mackenzie one final time. "Human," he said, his translator struggling with new concepts. "What you did today, our computers say it was impossible." Thomas smiled, the same gentle expression he wore when neighbors complimented his corn crop. "Son, your computers never spent a season dealing with coyotes getting into the chicken coop at 3 in the morning. Some problems don't need fancy solutions. They just need someone who knows how to point straight and squeeze gentle." As the human ship disappeared into hyperspace, the Zephyrian Empire quietly withdrew its territorial claims. The official report would state that humans possessed unquantifiable tactical capabilities and were to be left alone. War Prime Vashtok's replacement, when briefed on the incident, asked only one question. This Thomas Mackenzie, what manner of enhanced super-soldier was he? The answer would puzzle military strategists for generations. Agricultural specialist. Primary skill, pest control. In the end, that said everything the galaxy needed to know about humans.